David, you're in New York?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. All right. Same thing.
Kind of not really, but it's okay.
New Jersey. You just said some fighting words, Adriel.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Forget about it,
What are you
Adriel.
doing?
Forget about it.
I try to cultivate a very organic, very natural, very flowing conversation around personal finance in general. Obviously, the emphasis and the focus is on infinite banking. This is a place where we can go into, the deep waters. This is a place where we could talk about things that are new as well, or first on our radar, where we can tap into other people's experience and perspective, etc. Oh man, I'm gonna mute y'all so y'all can't hear what I say here, actually.
He hasn't done this before, just so you know.
Oh, yeah. I like this.
Yeah, I thought about it. And I was like, wait, I don't want them to hear unless y'all are lip readers from the side. Hopefully you won't be able to know what that second subject is that we're going to try and work towards today. I'm glad I caught that. I'm glad I caught that.
I got one or two things in mind to round out this conversation. So, let me do it this way. Adriel, pick a number between 3 and 86.
I know what you're doing here.
Okay, perfect. What's the number then?
Let's say
what's the number?
35.
35. Rob, go to page 35. Tell us something from the BYOB book about page 35.
Use
I
it or
see it's
Use it or lose it. Yep, go ahead.
let's see. Let's find the good. The arrival syndrome produces a comfort zone that causes people to lapse into their old way of doing things. A lifetime of accumulated information that determines how one conducts oneself. That was highlighted on that page for me.
Oh, perfect. I was wondering. I keep forgetting about people that highlight or that write in there, but I keep forgetting about that kind of stuff. I was like, man, where's he at first? Because it took me a second. I was like, okay, now I see where he's at on the page there. All right. So what does that mean to you? What does that make you think of? How would you even? You don't have to tie it to the conversation that we've had today, but I can tell you right now that CPA jumped in my mind again as you were reading that part. But tell me your thoughts.
It isn't just the CPA. It's thinking that we are stuck within these certain levels of products as it pertains to capital. So our arrival syndrome says, oh, well, if I need money, I go to a bank. That's generally how we're taught to think. We are not taught to capitalize our own system. We're not taught that there's other vehicles out there to be able to make that happen. So I certainly see where the arrival syndrome ties in there, because it's the conventional financial wisdom. That's what everybody knows. Everybody does. Well, do I want to do what everybody does all the time? I can, but do I want to? And once we've sort of expanded our mind by rethinking our thinking, we see things differently. And when we know what's now going on, we can choose to do what we've always done, or we can choose to do something different. And we'll know what to do when we kind of arrive, or I shouldn't say arrive, but when we get a new level of knowledge or expand our level of knowledge.
I can't see that passage that you just read without thinking about, and if people haven't seen this, I would encourage everybody to do this. Go to YouTube. All right, go to YouTube, look up Dustin and then backwards bicycle. If you've not seen this video of this guy who learns how to ride a backwards bicycle, you need to check that out.
Dustin Sandlin.
Thank
Dustin
you.
Sandlin, Smarter Every Day.
Smarter Every Day. You're the man. That whole part about, goes back to the old way of doing things. All right. Rob, you went first. Thanks for breaking the ice for us. Pick a number between 3 and 86, please.
Let's see. Let's go with 39.
All right, Adriel, give us something from page 39. Let's see. Where does that put us? Oh, very interesting.
Man, you put me on the spot.
Okay, this section is my thoughts on universal life and variable life. That's so relevant because there's so much on the interwebs right now about indexed is the particular variety or flavor, indexed universal life nowadays. But Nelson did always encourage people. It's like, if you want to know about any kind of universal life, go and read Nelson's thoughts on it. And then I couple that, of course, with telling them that I don't personally own any myself, haven't ever written any. Nelson didn't either. But yeah, what sticks out to you from this section of the book, Adriel?
That I need to study it more. But one of the first paragraphs I see is second to last paragraph or third to last paragraph in the chapter. I suggest that you read The Truth About Mutual Funds and then The Battle for the Soul of Capitalism by John Bogle, the originator of the Vanguard Fund. These books are vital to the understanding that goes on in the industry. Read The Pirates of Manhattan by Barry Van Dyke. There's just a lot of things that you need to know about how the stock market works and the volatility there to understand why those universal life products are something you really gotta be careful of, I think.
Yeah, it blows my mind that, and we're conditioned, we're propagandized, etc., to do all this stuff, but we're told to put money in places that we just don't understand. And we just do it because everybody does it that way. You know what I'm saying? But we won't pick up a book to read about that subject before we put a significant, if you take, let's say you take what's maybe the most codified version of this out there and you say, well, I'm going to do it the Dave Ramsey way. I'm going to take 15% of my income and I'm going to save it, and they'll use the word savings a lot of time, in the S&P 500 or mutual fund or whatever, right? But we won't even read a book by Barry Dyke or somebody on that subject. That blows my mind that we take 15% of our income and do something with that money for our whole, earning lifetime, but then not even pick up a book on it.
If I could jump in, Barry Dyke, who I know personally, he has uncovered a lot of what is not like the unspoken underbelly, if I would call it, of the financial system. And what I found universal life and variable life to be, because by the way, he speaks about E.F. Hutton, and actually I am aging myself to tell you guys that I actually used to work for a company that actually was a part of E.F. Hutton back in the 1980s. So I can speak directly, at least to, you know, like this is speaking, this is a cautionary tale about what we see and what we're fed as consumers, where there was a famous commercial that said, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. And I don't know if you guys, Rob, I don't know if maybe we're contemporaries age-wise, but the idea in this passage to me is that everything is not what it appears to be. And sometimes there's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm not saying all of Universal or IULs are bad. This is not what I'm saying here, but just make sure you do your homework, because what infinite banking, in my sense, um, falls upon with in the best way is the guaranteed part, the guaranteed portion, which at the end of the day, you cannot say with a lot of these other products. And to me, a lot of these were a marriage of Wall Street wanting to get into the world of the life insurance industry, which has always been a very predictable and very profitable industry. And this is a way that Wall Street was able to, I'm going to use the word, get their hoofs into an industry and created products that, just say it illustrate very nicely, but in actual implementation, and and people are sometimes unfortunately surprised by what's being proposed to them, and then what happens down the road. So the longer term thinking actually becomes faulty, that they don't even realize is going to happen until, like James Netherly says, it's not a problem until it appears. And that's unfortunately what I've seen in my experience of what happens with these type of products, how they're constructed. So that's what I got
Yeah,
out of that page.
on your comments, David, Wall Street wants access to a lot of life insurance companies, and they want it because they can leverage that capital, and that's all they want it for. They would much love to get a hold of a company that has billions of dollars in actual real hard assets with strong cash flows, and then leverage the heck out of it for all other kinds of investments, all because they're chasing this, higher rate of return. Well, yeah, well, that sounds good until it isn't good. And that's what we see. And I think that's one of the things that I love about Barry Dyke's research. And Barry is extremely well versed in this to understand and provide you with some context. So I highly recommend, if you're all into the market and you really are wanting to do things, and this is me speaking to viewers, please get one of Barry's books or listen to him. He is a wealth of knowledge, and he has and sees things at a level that most people are not thinking about, and he follows the money, and it's all backed by third party independent research. So it's not just some guy blowing smoke. It's real, it's validated, and it's true. So I would just challenge anybody, if you're thinking about things from that angle, to go take a look. And like Jesse said before, read a book. It's not going to hurt you unless you're afraid of what you're going to find out. So
Yep. And for people that listen, you can go and hear Barry Dyke speak multiple times on James Nethery's Banking with Life podcast for people that like to listen to Barry. All right, one more time. We got one more iteration of this. Where are we at?
David.
Yeah, let's get you, Adriel. Why don't you pick a number for David?
I picked the first
Did
number.
already ask you to pick a page number.
I picked the first number.
I picked the second.
So maybe Jesse, you have to pick a number for me.
I'll pick a number for you. 52. 5-2. I just grabbed it and opened the book. It's going to be an equipment financing. So this is part 4, equipment financing, page 52. It's a big wordy page. So I'll let you pick what you want. And while you're doing that, I'll say this. Hopefully I won't distract you, but I'll say this for my own benefit and the benefit of the listeners. I'm really looking forward to leveraging y'all's conversation and insight more. Adriel, with your family business background, David, with your Wall Street, your conventional finance background, y'all are terribly interesting. That's why I've had conversations with you and want to have more with you. Rob, you're a perennial guy here that I love getting. Sometimes you just say some things, I'm like, hey, Rob said it the way I was feeling it, but I don't think I said it that way.
I
That's
love
what I
this kind
feel
of
about
stuff.
everybody else.
Okay. All right. So it's not just me. But yeah, tell me, David, what sticks out to you? Well, no, answer me this question, because this is your first time on the roundtable. Do you have highlights and markings in your book already, or is it a clean page?
I do, but in all transparency, the equipment financing, because even whatever level of experience I've had over time, it's still the concepts, I don't want to say elude me, but I tend to, I don't want to say avoid, but I'm not as highlighted currently.
Okay. All right, but that still answers my question. You have highlighted some things in your book, because some people do, some people don't. I think I'm in the minority when it comes to that kind of stuff. But no, for sure it's a meatier section of the book.
It's the longest chapter in the book, I believe.
Yes, it is.
But as Nelson said, it's probably the least important.
Exactly. It's the one he...
That's an interesting point to bring up, Rob. Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Nelson, there's a reason why Nelson spends half the book on the human problems, because that's what he wants us to think about. He wants us to think about our thinking. And then the equipment financing is really just a practice and action of putting these things into place. I do have one section highlighted from that page, so I'll share it with you all. But my section that I had is, so it's on the second half of page 52, and it's the second full paragraph on that page. And it says, pay close attention to this point. It is vital that you understand that he, meaning the individual that this chapter is referencing, must set up a loan repayment plan that equals or exceeds what he would have had to pay the finance company that he was using in the past. And what that is that's talking about economic value add. It valuing your capital at the same level or higher than what you would value a third party banks. And then when you're making those repayments, whatever that difference is, that's what's going into your paid up additions. So I, at least in terms of like the actual like action steps that somebody's doing in from that section. So but I had that highlighted because it was important to just remember, like, that's part of being an honest banker. Being an honest banker is making loan repayments. And it's replenishing. It's not so much a loan repayment as it is replenishing your own capital. A lot of times people don't think about it that way. They're like, oh, it's a loan. Well, yeah, it's a loan at a company that I own part of. And as it's more profitable, when it is profitable, I benefit from that as well. So I have both of these things going on at the same time.
Yeah. And how does a conventional loan work? Your loan repayment is an expense because the principal is locked up and you
Yep.
can't access it until you liquidate the asset.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Where as soon as you pay, well, 10 business days, generally speaking, as soon as you make a loan repayment, that capital becomes available again.
Yep.
So I know I've talked to Jesse about this before, but my first policy was not extremely large, but I leveraged that cash value 2 complete times within the year through loan repayments to knock down some debt that I had and wipe it out. And you being able to use that twice within a year was crazy to me. Like it's this quote unquote line of credit in a way, if you want to think about it in more conventional terms, but it's also one that has very favorable outcomes in terms for me as the person using it. And that's the part that's exciting is, anytime I'm making a loan repayment, that's going right to my principal and it's becoming available again. I just keep cycling that through as much as I want within reason. So.
All right, Rob, you made me write down a note that we're going to have to come to in a future conversation. But David, sounded like you had something there. Run it by us.
Real quick is what comes to me as I'm reading this page is this is a very granular explanation that Nelson's alluding to in the other pages of the book that talks about being, a good steward of your money and also not stealing the peas. And I feel like this is just a fleshed out, granular example of all of the preceding concepts that are in the book and even post this particular chapter where you just need to be a good steward and make sure that you're an honest banker and that you're not paying somebody else more volume of interest that could be paid to your own system, and just making sure that you are disciplined. And like he talks about in the book, he said, a life insurance agent should coach him at this point. The loan interest, the policy loan interest rate is 8%, but we're not going to play that game. We're going to call the finance company that you were using and ask them what you would want to pay if you financed it with them. So basically, to me, this is a conglomeration of, like, again, you being in control of your own system, not having to have a conversation with a bank or a finance company, and you basically wresting control back, and him basically talking about the craziness of how we always have to be at the mercy and the whim of someone else's system that we don't get to dictate the rules on. And that's what speaks to me about this page.
I love that perspective, and that's going to make me think this is a James Nethery fest. But as you're saying that, David, I can't help but think that yes, if people just understand the concepts from the first part of the book, this is just that fleshed out example of the details, like you're saying. And that's what James Nethery says is, well, if you understand the concepts, details don't matter. But if you don't understand the concepts, meaning what's at the front of the book, human behavior, whatnot, then the details don't matter. So I like your perspective on that. Guys, I can't wait for our next conversation. Of course, all of your contact information is going to be below in the show notes so people can find you and connect with you. Let me give you, I'm late for my next meeting, but let me give you some any last parting words. Adriel, this is your first time being on the round table. Anything you'd like to leave people with, sir?
Not that I can really think of, but I'm really thankful for this opportunity to talk with you guys and to get some of my thoughts out of my head and out of my mouth and get them out here. I'm right in the start of this infinite banking thing, so I really need to formulate my thoughts, and this has been awesome for that.
I'm happy to have you here, brother. David, any parting thoughts, sir?
I appreciate the invitation to be on here this morning. I look forward to future conversations. I would just say that this concept is all about rethinking thinking. I could just talk about myself for a minute about where, again, you talked about how my history on Wall Street, and even myself thinking that I was a seasoned professional and not even understanding that this was a concept that was even out there that's been in play for over 200 years. So I would just say for everyone out there, just be open-minded to be able to know that there's other ways, and we're here to educate you that way.
Absolutely.
Love it. Rob.
Yeah, obviously, again, appreciate the opportunity to be here, Jesse, Adriel, David. It's been great to talk with you all. It's a fun topic, a little different than what we're used to in some ways, but I hope that if anything, people were able to learn something from today, because I mean, it, as David mentioned, it's all about thinking, but it's all about our education. And the more that we learn, the more that we understand what to do. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to have that conversation where we can educate one another and educate others in the process. So it's a great thing to be a part of.
And then for me, it would be the coaching. The last thing that David was reading right there was about coaching, where coaches step in. So again, these guys' contact information is going to be below in the show notes where you can connect with them, be coached by them. If you're working with me, you can always reconnect at durhamtalents.com. My hope is that you learn to live and leave a lasting legacy.
David, you're in New York?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. All right. Same thing.
Kind of not really, but it's okay.
New Jersey. You just said some fighting words, Adriel.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Forget about it,
What are you
Adriel.
doing?
Forget about it.
Get out of here.
Wise guy.
Yeah. What are you? Some kind of wise guy? Huh?
Yeah, do I make you laugh? What about me makes you laugh, huh?
Jesse, I'm really impressed with your New Jersey accent there.
I haven't practiced it as much as I maybe will with David being around and then you instigating stuff here amongst us. So maybe you're going to give me the now I have used my mobster voice some. So it just depends on how mad you make me and David. Then I'm going to jump over into my mobster voice. It's going to be all about business, right?
If this video was valuable to you, make sure to let me know with a thumbs up, and I'll see you at durhamtalents.com. Live and leave a lasting legacy.